And downstairs right now at her home is Samantha Colosimo.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone?
Okay, so, all right, we're talking about this paving project. This is Samantha Colosimo, who's on Utica's Common Council. And, you know, there are people going back and forth, some saying that this is not the right move. You're for this, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so talk about why. We had Mark Williamson on saying, number one, you're not thinking about the fact that there are water lines that got to be replaced, there are sewer lines that have to be replaced, electrical lines. All this stuff needs to be working. Everybody needs to be working together. And if we accelerate with paving, we're just going to have to tear these roads back up again and fix the water lines and then pave it again. What do you say to that?
Well, we sat down with the water board, and that was probably about 2 weeks ago. And what the water board had said, they would work in coordination with the city. You know, when we pave the roads, that they would fix the water lines. Now we have the sewer department inside the city of Utica, so I think everyone needs to sit down, which we have, and work hand in hand in the next 15 years when we pave these roads. I mean, the cycle that we're on now, in the past 20 years, we've only paved 75 miles of roads out of the 212 miles of roads that we have. So obviously, if anybody drives in the city of Utica, they know that that's not working anymore.
Right.
So what we came up with, and, you know, again, you got to remember, back when the budget was presented, the mayor presented a patch plan, and you know, obviously we were in disagreement with it, so we decided to come up with a plan that we thought worked best within the council. You know, 9 of us sat down, everyone, you know, put their input in, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But my opinion is that, you know, 4 miles of roads a year is not cutting it anymore. And I think that we have to start investing in ourselves. I mean, the $2 million we spend now, you know, that's from federal and state money.
Right.
I mean, you know, the city of Utica spends $0 on itself and its infrastructure. And, you know, with everything going on in the city and with the potential, you know, future of nano, I mean, we have to start investing in ourselves for people who want to invest in our area.
2 quick questions. One is something you just said. That's not true that the city spends no money in infrastructure, right? I mean, you're saying that the roads are paved. It's only 4 miles a year. But they do
state and federal dollars.
It's all state and federal.
That's by chips, right? I mean,
okay.
We literally, I mean, the $2 million that are allocated is, like I said, by state and federal money. We really don't invest. We haven't invested in ourselves, and I can't tell you how long. Hence the reason why we're in the situation that we are.
And wasn't there a resolution to pave the roads before, and the money just wasn't there, so the council went back in and
what happened?
changed
Wasn't there
that?
$2 million set aside every year?
That was back in 2007. They had a charter revision committee, and the charter revision committee put it on the ballot that they had a mandate that they spend $2 million a year on infrastructure. Well, this is what we're doing now. What you see is, this is like, do you see the campaign in California where it's vote yes on Prop 55 for the funding cut? So this is the campaign that we're doing inside the city. Vote yes on Prop 1. And, you know, what it is increasing from what they originally allocated, the $2 million, to increase it to $5 million. Obviously, the $2 million that we spend from CHIPS and, you know, federal money, and that'll still be there. We're going to use $500,000 from the water board and then borrow $2.5 million a year.
Okay, so here's my question, and I hope you have the answer to this. I'm going to focus on one area. It's over by the Odd. So if you're coming on 5S, Riscony Boulevard, you go past the OD, you go past the Genesee Street intersection, and then that right-hand lane is like pothole after huge box-sized pothole.
On Riscony Boulevard?
Riscony Boulevard, yeah, right.
Yeah, but I think that's state. Is that? I think that's...
That's actually a state.
Yeah.
That's actually
it's a state road. Okay, well,
it doesn't say much for the state.
I guess it doesn't.
But that's why
they're in the middle of the arterial project, and that's an area. That area is next, according to Picola. That area is coming next. It's going to be
right. See, now the state actually plans when they're going to do the roads. They have a capital investment plan, just like the county has that NIDA Herkimer transportation study. I mean, the city of Utica is just literally going on with 4 miles of roads a year, which, you know, out of a random hat, which one they think is the worst. And obviously,
right, and that's
we have a lot of terrible streets inside the city.
That's what we brought up to Mark Williamson, that a quote unquote master plan for infrastructure is, and it wouldn't just be roads, but it could be, you know, when do the sewer lines get redone? And what kind of schedule we're going to be doing to get to redo the water lines? And we're just talking about lead in the water just the other day. So maybe a master plan.
if you look at what the sewer department's done inside the city, just in the Cornhill, West Genesee Street area, I mean, they've invested millions and millions of dollars, and we're actually ahead of being mandated by the state to start doing those things. So, I mean, like I said, we had to invest in that, and now this is another project that we have to invest in. So, I mean, there's not every road in the city doesn't need a sewer line repaired. I mean, that's impossible. I mean, the water authority doesn't repair every line inside the city. I mean, you're talking close to a $300 million investment, and I don't think anybody in the country has that right now. The problem is that we have to resurface our roads. We have to. It's impossible. Nobody wants to drive down our street anymore. I mean, like I said, I did the Ride for Missing Children this year. It was embarrassing because I knew exactly when we got to the city of Utica, because that's all you heard what everyone saying was, pothole, pothole, pothole. I mean, it's awful. Yeah. I mean, the amount of money that people spend on their car getting a line each year is probably about $150. That would be, 140 less than what they would be spending a year just trying to put in a roads for a capital investment plan to fix them.
So my example over by the Odd was a bad one. There are other parts of the city where this happens. You see a pothole.
You could literally drive down any city inside the city of Utica that hasn't been paved this year, and you'll hit a pothole.
So what I see happening is it gets patched, and then it sinks again, and then it's repatched, and it sinks again. Would that solve this problem?
No. You're talking about repaving every road inside the city over the next 15 years. If you look at Herkimer Road was just paved, probably about 15 years ago, I think now. If it was getting paved again this year, it would last another 15 years. But because you start making curb cuts, and this is another thing that we talked with the water authority, and we'll be having conversations with National Grid, and everybody is moving the power, the sewer lines over to, the right of way, the city's right of way, rather than cutting up the roads. I mean, so these are conversations that we have. Either way, we still have to pave roads. Whether we pay 4 miles of roads a year, there still is not a capital investment plan.
Can I ask a question? Is the of the $2 million that has been allotted, that's state and federal money, is the city putting that full $2 million prior to right now? Is that full $2 million per year going?
Here's the problem.
Towards paving?
Here's another caveat that we had with the proposition bill. The money that they spend, the $2 million that they spend, can go for curbs, sidewalks, all different types of infrastructure. This one specifically allocates money for roads only. So you're not spending an extra $150,000 on sidewalks for somebody. It's literally just roads.
So that $2 million was not going to pave roads.
It was going towards everything. Like I said, it was going towards curbs, sidewalks. There was a whole bunch of money
fix up a little park with some. Could go to that, maybe, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, you remember the complete streets policy that we implemented not too long ago. Well, the county came in. A lady by the name of Sarah Scott, sat down with us and said, "Listen, with this project that you have going on, I have money for you guys. If you guys give me a project to start doing curbs, sidewalks." Possibly repaving parks. I mean, so there's money out there.
Yeah.
The problem is that we're not going after it. When you implement policies like the complete streets, this is how it coordinates with the city. I mean, if you look at curb appeal, you could drive down the nicest road. If you don't have your sidewalks and your curbs along with it, then what's the point of doing it? Right. I mean, people want to look at nice roads. That's all it comes down to. That is the biggest complaint. Like, you will talk to anybody, not only in the city,
look at this beautiful
the
road.
outside areas.
Yeah.
I mean, you could talk to anybody that's driven through Utica. They will tell you it is terrible. I will tell you it is terrible. And that's the whole point, that we can't sustain this anymore.
What do you do though if there's a setback and we don't know financially the money's not there? You're going to you got to raise taxes, right?
Well, no, here's the thing. I mean, back when we were on the council, there was an $8 million deficit. There was a voter referendum that you could not borrow against the reserve fund less than 5%. Now, obviously, we came to a point where we could no longer sustain having a 5% fund balance. So what we did was we overrode that, and we used the money that we had to do. So, I mean, obviously, there's situations. If the budget's in a $60 million deficit or a $5 million deficit, and you can't afford to do that, you put it on hold. I mean, it's not, nobody's tying their hands to it. No, I mean, that's why the scare tactics of the taxes being raised. The taxes have been raised 19% in the past 5 years, and you haven't seen any roads being paved, have you? So, I mean, Obviously, we're in a situation now that we weren't in 5 years ago. The borrowing from this aspect is unbelievable. The interest rates are just insane.
I'm almost out of time, but I want to just say one thing that you had said, and it's interesting because you said basically what you're saying is we're going to commit to paving the roads for the next 15 years. And there's going to be a small little addition in taxes that each person's going to pay for, unless we don't have the money, and then we're going to put it on hold. But when we really think about that, you're really going year by year then after all.
No, like I said, I'm just saying, if we had to raise taxes, obviously we're under a 2% mandate, okay? If we had to raise taxes, you're looking at 15% tax increase, and there was cuts to this place. Why would you cut to pave an extra 10 miles of road? Just go back to the 4 miles of roads that you're paving a year.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Got it.
I mean, that's like a worst-case scenario.
All right, and you got to flip the ballot.
Either way, though, we have to pay 4 miles of roads a year. So that's worst-case scenario.
You got to
get 14, you get 4.
Flip the ballot. That's where you're going to see the proposition, right? Okay.
Yes, that's very important when you go to vote. Just make sure you turn over the ballot, vote yes.
Thank you, Samantha. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, thanks so much. Have a good day.
Got a break.